When I dropped my initial video about my prescriptions, I had said that I planned to compile groups into 10 into one video. But seeing that viewers have used the playlist for all the individual prescriptions, this has opened up a new opportunity for myself and viewers. Over-the-counter prescriptions. When a doctor gives you a prescription, your sibling or your parents can't go get that medication for themselves. My prescriptions, similarly, are for individuals. Yes, people can see the recommendations and get the game for yourself, but when you have general symptoms and have no idea why you are sick, you can buy something without needing a doctor's recommendation. You can go to any store that you would like and get it over the counter. So that is what I'm doing with this series. For each of the over-the-counter videos, I will be picking a theme that I am focusing on. For today's, I will be giving ideas for arcade games. Yes, most of these have had sequels, but for my prescriptions, I have chosen games that offer the same feelings and the same genres, but they're not sequels. So as an example, for Pac-Man, even though I like Championship Edition DX, I will not be giving it as the over-counter prescription for Pac-Man because it is really just a fine-tuning of the original using the same IP. Pac-Man will be featured today, but in a different light. And if you are wanting a specific game recommendation for you, whether old, new, upcoming, or one that is like your favorites, the questionnaire is in the comments and the description. But on to the games for today. Smash TV is a classic twin-stick shooter that I particularly was shocked at when I saw the amount of blood. With my prescription for it, we won't be looking at gore, but unveiling aliens with alien death mob. Like Smash TV and other arcade classics, it sees you shooting at enemies with twin-stick action. You have lots of upgrades you can find scattered about the level. Each level plays like one of Smash TV's rooms, somewhat of a short scenario. It offers some nice conveniences like bullet time to avoid enemy fire. And to mix things up, it offers other modes that seek inspiration from Space Invaders, Robotron 2048, and loosely Pac-Man. Like Dig Dug, you find yourself digging down to defeat enemies in Murtop. You can dig to where rocks can fall down pits onto villains as you do in the classic, but instead of airing up the enemies until they bust, you leave behind bombs that blow up like the other inspiration, Bomberman. It makes for fun dodging of explosions while trying to take out enemies, and there are 256 levels to go with the game to its own kill screen, which is like arcade classics. If you are the type of gamer to play a game until you see everything, you have a lot here with Murtop. Maze Mice is the latest release I am recommending. I recommended it to younger kids and it made my best of 2025, so it's had quite a bit of showing on the channel. Maze Mice combines Pac-Man with bullet-heavy games into a fun meld of gaming, kind of like Ball Pit. When dodging ghosts, you never thought about giving Pac-Man weapons though, especially ones that you don't have to fire, but happen automatically on a cooldown. Maze Mice was a hit with my nieces and nephews on the Steam Deck at Christmas because it was so easy to take a turn, die, and pass the deck once you finish your single run. Great hit. I talked about Pocket Trap's second game, Dodgeball Academia, before. I'm unsure when, but I added their first game, Ninjin Clash of Carrots, to my library later on. But I gotta say, it is a banger, but for different reasons. Like the arcade classic beat 'em up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you are fighting waves of enemies. But like shoot 'em up games like Centipede, you are firing at those same enemies using your right joystick in Ninjin. Because you're playing as rabbits who are running to the right, you can't swing your sword behind you unless you're facing a boss, so it makes for a cool use of dodging and firing projectiles. Plus, the game is fully co-op if you like to play with another player, and the characters are customizable with different weapons. I've talked about another game that feels like NBA Jam, Robo-Dunk. But what I think it does right in the over-the-top aspect of the game, it is missing the strategy around the teams and having human players. Streetstep 21st Century Basketball answers the other side of the coin that makes up the arcade classic. While it isn't near as bonkers as Robo-Dunk can be, it is quite a bit unrealistic. Players are even metaphorically jumping out of their shoes for jump shots. One of the things that makes Asteroids stick out from others in the genre is the freedom it gives you. Your ship isn't just firing at enemies from above like Space Invaders, but you move all about the screen. Superbit Blaster XL does so similarly. The two biggest differences is that you don't just fire at enemies, but you get new ways to shoot through upgrades. The obvious other is that you don't control your acceleration. You're always moving forward. And while you can speed up and slow down if you need it, there is absolutely no stop. And that makes for smart plays that test your reactions. Matt Glanville's first game is his easiest to learn, pick up, and play. And that is because the game is entirely one button. Like other shooters I have mentioned, the enemies in Switch and Shoot and the most famous shoot 'em up, Galaga, are firing at you from the top of the screen, where you're trying to move and dodge what the aliens are doing in the game from the 1980s. You are doing the same thing in the 2016 game. The problem with Switch and Shoot is that you are always moving along the bottom of the screen. The problem is that you are always moving along the bottom of the screen. And once you fire, you don't stop moving, you turn around and go the other way. You loop along the sides as well, so it just never stops. Power-ups drop from the screen that make your fire better, but if you miss grabbing a power-up, you're demoted one level of your weapon. The game is super addicting. If you have deep pockets and are wanting to spend cash, you can buy an arcade cabinet for the game for a few $1,000s. Tetris is the granddaddy of puzzle games. So many games try and build off what Tetris made as the foundation. And while Tretrachoma is Tetris on paper, the big selling point is that you don't clear lines unless they are the same color. When you place a piece, it changes the color of the blocks beneath it. If there isn't a color change in the stack to halt the color change, though. It is a reinvention where you won't win if you just play good Tetris. You have to make suboptimal moves to win, and that kind of melts your mind, but in a really good way. Pole Position may not be the best arcade racing game, but is one of the most iconic, if not the most. Like Pole Position, Victory Heat Rally has a similar aspect of taking the best line for your turns. But like Mario Kart, Victory Heat has a boost system through drifting that sees you going faster and faster. It isn't near as punishing as the Atari game released 45 years ago. You aren't blowing up if you hit a wall, and if you go off the track, it spawns you with a good speed as opposed to putting you at 0. But if you're looking for a modern racer that gives you similar feels to pole position, Victory Heat Rally is the one. Plus, it has a good number of tracks too, instead of the single one you race with every single quarter. I have a soft spot for Missile Command because I grew up with a Game Boy cart with it and asteroids on it. Missile Command has you just shooting at invaders, but a Utopia Must Fall makes it even more modern by making it a roguelite. You have various ways you can advance down the tech tree and protect future versions of cities like London and Chicago. You can add turrets, you can add nuclear bombs that you can shoot off. It has some really interesting... Oh, and you can change your firing speed. When I played it for the first time, my mom straight up said it looked like Missile Command. It's part of the reason I chose it for today.